Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today, we are discussing a 2019 model year limited edition of 800 pieces. This was an e-boutique exclusive for Jaeger-LeCoultre. It is the Polaris Date Blue. Inspired by the 1968 version of the E859 Polaris diving alarm, this is a modern dive-style watch that incorporates elements of antiquity with modern fit finish and detailing. So, 42 millimeters in diameter in stainless steel. It is 13.1 millimeters thick, and it is 48.7 millimeters from lug tip to lug tip with a 21 millimeter spacing between the lugs. In 2018, the Polaris was brought back as a full model line, and this could be described as the core model, albeit in a limited edition special series dial variant. It is extremely wearable. In spite of its size, I could say that this watch would probably fit a wrist as small as 14 centimeters circumference. My wrist is 16 centimeters, and you can see from this down the barrel shot that the lugs are nowhere near the edge of my wrist. The watch is also quite flat, and with a stepped case flank and a dramatically domed sapphire, it will actually fit underneath most cuffs, including dress shirts. Taking a quick look at the strap, you can see that it is not the tropic style strap that would have been equipped on the original Polaris or even the 2008 tribute to Polaris. This has a hobnail pyramid pattern. It's a matte finish, medium blue, close to navy, but a little bit lighter than that. It's vulcanized rubber, very thick. You can see it curves to match the curvature of the case and then also the slope of the lugs, so the strap is fully integrated. On the underside, you can see that there's a little bit of evacuation to make it more pliant and also vent the wrist better on a hot day. We have a clasp that is double folding. It's good to have a folding clasp on a dive style watch because it makes it harder to drop that watch, particularly useful in a marine environment. And you'll note that there's a little push button underneath the buckle. You push that button, the buckle comes right off the strap, so you can easily remove the buckle without a tool just by pushing that button. And you can see that we have a combination of satin and polish here. And the same is true of the case. This is considerably more modern than the design of the original E859 and even the 2008 tribute to Polaris. That was a very true to history re-edition, whereas this is more of an interpretation of what a modern Polaris would be like. So we have this step of the lug out from the case band. We have a polished bevel on the flank. Instead of squared off lug tips, they're actually somewhat downturned, and then they're polished on their bottom. You can see there's satination on the lug hood, on the lug flank, on the mid case. We have crowns here that don't include the quadrille or the sectored grid of the original Polaris. They include JL logos. We have knurling on the sides of those crowns. You can see a combination of actually satin and polish, so alternating finish. The bezel is polished but quite minimal, and the dial dominates your view of the watch. Now, there is a bidirectional rotating internal bezel that you can line up with the minute hand. The original Polaris included this. I would opine that this watch, which includes a version of the, or at least a tribute to the old super compressor case and two crowns, is even a little bit more like the E558 Master Mariner, sometimes known as the Barracuda, which was a contemporary of the E859. This watch looks maybe more like the E859, but it works functionally more like the Master Mariner. The timepiece, of course, has plenty of luminescence. It is a dive watch after all, and despite the use of a sort of faux tina, which makes a nice warm complementary color to the blue, there's no loss in luminescence, and you can quite easily see that I can track the location of the bezel pearl even in the dark. The shape of the indices and the font of the numerals drawn directly from the 1968 version of the Polaris. It bears mentioning there was an earlier version that came out in 1965, but this is a take on the dial that's best known. Now, I should mention, we're going to get close here, there are several different types of blues and textures. We have a matte blue, a dark navy blue for the dive bezel, which also acts as a bit of a flange to the dial. Then we have a fume fade. There's one for the hour track, which includes a pronounced granular, almost tremblage-like finish. We have applique numerals and indices atop that. It is navy, almost black at its edge, but it's a considerably lighter blue inboard where you can read the seconds and the minutes. Now, what's worth mentioning is that there is yet another gradient on the center dial, which uses a gradient from, once again, navy to a silver blue, but this time with a gloss lacquer on top of a sunburst metallic grain. So there's a lot going on here. You can also appreciate that there is a second crown that allows me to activate stop seconds, as well as a quick set date function. And on the reverse side, you can see the symbol that was included on the original Irvin Picaret's super compressor case that was included on the old Polaris diving alarms. It doesn't have the resonator holes on the reverse side because this one, unlike the original, is not an alarm. But you can see it is 200 meters water resistant. It is 1 of 800. It has gone through the Master 1000 Hours Control, which is a JLC in-house test of the full watch, not just a bare movement like the COSC. The Master 1000 Hours Control includes 6-position, fully cased up movement chronometry, winding efficiency, power reserve, shock resistance, and water resistance for 1,000 hours and not just the 2 weeks of the COSC. The movement on the inside is the caliber 899A/1, which is a unidirectional winder, automatic, with ceramic rotor bearings, with a 38-hour power reserve, stop seconds, a quick set date. It pivots on 32 joules, and it has a free sprung balance for precise regulation and greater shock tolerance. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details of this JLC Polaris Date Blue Limited Edition.